entertainment. This is our third show of Beery Good Tidbits. In this show, we're exploring an 18th century recipe of a stuffed sirloin, and we may also be doing an almond cake. I am your kitchen maid, Sorcerer Zero.
I'm Strategos. Today I'm taking on a French pirate.
And I'm Francesca, and I am the French pirate's sister.
She's the lady of the house. So here is our recipe for
Aloyo à la Dauphine. Sirloin Dauphine fashion. Take a sirloin thoroughly boned. Make a hole in the middle large enough to put in it a salpicon.
a salpicon is a bunch of tiny little meat pieces bound together with egg and sauce. It also could include vegetables.
Stuffing after this manner. Cut in pretty large bits, pieces of ham, raw. They probably mean cured. But a fowl boned, 2 scalded sweetbreads,
Sweetbreads, we'll discuss those in a little bit.
a tongue, all minced together and chopped parsley, a garlic clove, mushrooms, salt and pepper, rasped lard, laurel and thyme, 4 yolks of eggs. So that's just the stuffing itself. And yes, a salpicon is a stuff in French cooking is a stuffing of cooked meats or vegetables put together with the sauce. So, put it in the beef and secure it. Boil it in a pot near to its bigness in a little froth. Sorry, there's a bottle of white wine, a large nosegay. A nosegay is a bouquet of various herbs. 3 cloves, a laurel leaf, 6 tarragon leaves, 3 or 4 onions, a few roots. Finish on a slow fire. Serve it upon a sauce à la espagnole. So yes, this is a very involved recipe that would have been designed for royalty. So last time we were just affluent enough to have access to herbs. This time we're I pretty much robbed a castle and am using that money to make this dinner.
Oh, thank goodness, otherwise we'd go hungry. And even worse, we'd have no alcohol.
Indeed. What are we doing for alcohol, sis?
Well, I am going to prepare what they call a flip, which is a beer cocktail that is made with beer, spices, sugar, eggs, often rum or brandy, and then it used to be that they would put it in a pot on the stove and hit it with what they called a flip iron, which was just a red hot iron that was used only for that purpose. And it would heat it up and make it froth, and the froth was why they called it flip. It was incredibly popular in the 18th century. And then I'm also going to make a mulled wine. Mulled wine at the time period also sometimes had eggs in it. I'm going to make a version that does not have eggs in it, so that we can try the difference. And that will be red wine, spices, a little bit of sugar, lemon, and all heated up. Beautiful.
So as you can see, alcohol was not something that was left out of cooking. We've got wine to drink. We've got beer to drink.
We've got a whole bottle of wine.
A whole bottle of wine with the beef.
And that could get in the way of the bigness, I'm just going to say.
So it never happens to me.
It is just right for this historical recreation of a stuffed sirloin roast. These, if you didn't know, are sweetbreads. Liver, gizzards, heart, all that lovely innard stuff.
Also thymus and pancreas.
Pancreas is really hard to get in the
No,
United
for
States.
some animals, but
Liver, chicken liver is usually the easiest to find. And you will never find brain. You will also never find pizzle.
what's pizzle?
Use your imagination.
It's the private parts.
Oh dear God. I think you can actually get womb and Rocky Mountain oysters in some states actually.
You can get what's it called? The stomach lining. Stomach lining is and this is warm. The milk is just starting to steam, which makes it good for scalding.
Yes. So, for thousands of years, cooks that were sourcing whole animals to cook would use the offal, the sweetbreads and the things like that, as part of stuffings for the more choice meats or tarts or anything like that, just in order to extend their usage of the animal. And that's what we're doing.
And the milk will turn a little pink. It's okay. That's normal.
Exactly. Means it's working.
We're not going to use the milk, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think there's any use for the milk after you scalded it. You could probably give it to the cat. The cat would appreciate it. And because we've scalded stuff, the milk would be safe. Oh, there we go. When the liver starts to turn brown, it's done. That is scalding sweetbreads.
So I don't really know.
Well, I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
So, what exactly needs to be fried? We know that the chicken needs to be fried. What else needs to be fried? Do the vegetables need to be fried? We have mushrooms.
No. The vegetable part of this will not be fried. Although I don't know, if it is a stuffing, we might want to toss it in once just a little bit to get the onions a little bit soft, but I don't know.
Oh, well, then.
My understanding is that a salt pecan is cooked meat with vegetables and the sauce. So I don't know that.
And we've already scalded the sweetbreads.
We've already scalded the sweetbreads. So I think we're just gonna cook the vegetables and then we're gonna put it all together into the stuffing and stuff it in that roast.
Now, I'm not sure actually whether they would have used oil to cook chicken, but since the pan is dry,
You could use some of the lard if you want to, not cloves.
oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, they would have had oil.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah, lard would probably be a little lard would be good.
Yeah, because I mean, bacon fat. Everyone cooks everything.
Oh, yes.
You probably only need like a teaspoon.
Oh, yeah, we don't.
I have heard things about lard.
Lard was used for a lot of things. I'm not quite sure how.
Primarily baking. but-
Yeah, primarily baking. It was also used in the breeding of pigs.
Really? I
Yes.
need to hear about this.
Yes.
As we cook with it.
Yes.
Need to hear about pig breeding.
Pigs are. It can be in general extremely
That's
intractable.
gonna be enough.
Extremely intractable animals to breed.
Okay.
So,
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought they were like humans.
some of them, I mean, the male pigs were usually all for it, but the female pigs were
not always very happy to get in on the action.
Oh, I see.
So in order to get them in the mood, the farmer would sometimes put a little lard under their tail. So glad we don't
Under
have
their
to do
tail.
that. I'm
Okay.
so glad we don't have to do that.
Well, some of us do.
Okay, now, if somebody could continue
Alright.
with that,
I'll find something else to do.
I'm going to actually, you might need to help me with
Herbs. Or we need herbs.
herbs and, well, I need to bone the roast.
Okay, I don't. Do you need my help with that? Did you see what I said about loading the roast already? It was very eloquent.
Okay.
Wait, I didn't see this.
Yes.
I forget when you have a thoroughly from the sirloin, you have to stuff it inside. It's true. It's true. You have to. And that's what we're going to do. It's the only the polite thing to do.
Okay.
I mean,
So, how big a hole?
I can't believe we started down this path. Now we'll never come back.
I guess I could just, I could make a slice.
I think we want. I think we want about. Yeah.
I would do a slice because you have a whole lot of stuff to get in there.
Yeah. But not all the way through, probably.
Well, no, not all the way to the end.
It actually smells lovely.
Yeah, ours didn't actually have a boat. So. Oh, it's actually. Need to be careful with that. There's still a membrane of fat here, but when we're cooking it, it might start leaking.
Now, do you want these, the chicken and the...
thoroughly cooked.
Fairly thoroughly,
So,
yeah. We can even toss the rest of the stuffing in for a second. Just so like.
So
but
not
yeah,
just-
we have to.
Not just sort of partly cooked.
So, there is,
Yeah, it's supposed to be cooked.
the pocket goes all the way to the end, but it is a pocket.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get out all the stuffing in there, but if we can't,
Oh, I'm pretty sure we can.
we can also make a second.
Yeah,
There's
that's...
also a second pocket developing here because this is actually pretty much open, so we can get some stuffing in that too.
I think the stuffing... I think you can get stuffing, all the stuffing in that. I mean, at least I
I could open it up at the actual other pocket, like a turkey, and so that we have two ends.
Oh, so stuff some stuff in here too?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, even open it up so that they're touching.
And
And
I
just-
have
and just use two
toothpicks.
ends.
And
Yeah.
I have toothpicks.
But I don't think we're gonna turn it. I think we're just gonna baste
We're just gonna
it.
baste it. So that's,
So
I
that's
mean,
fine.
that's
It's just gonna be
That's
like a roast turkey, essentially.
Okay, alright. That's fine.
That's
So-
very nice. Do we do this in an oil?
We
or is
create
it
a
just
pocket.
lard? Oh, what's in it?
In the sirloin.
I like the
It
smell
doesn't
of
have to
lard.
be fancy.
Well,
People,
I like it.
people have been cooking with it for years.
I've been well boned.
And I'm ready to get stuffed.
Or should I mix the tongue in with the rest of the stuff? I think I should.
Yes, the tongue. Yes.
Where's the tongue?
It is in the bag. There.
This one?
Wait.
This one?
That's
Not this one.
no, those are ribs. That no.
I'll find it. This may be done.
Yes, that's done. That's it. You can turn it off.
It's gotta be this, right?
Yes, there it is.
Mix it in
little bit of chopped tongue.
The burner is hot.
And you can just cube it. And here's a tip. If you have a Mexican restaurant near you, it's a good chance that they're advertising something called lengua taco.
Sure.
That is tongue. Just go and ask for a taco, just meat.
That's
Nothing else. And you'll get enough tongue. To do your best.
So I'm just gonna throw the beer together and mix it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we'll mix it with we might need the oil, another bowl.
A bigger bowl?
We might need a bowl. I think this bowl will do. Actually, this bowl right here will do. That one had. I'm just thinking we needed a bowl for when we add the sauce. Because we don't necessarily want the sauce in that pan. Gosh, this is beautiful.
Whoa, that is a lot of stuffing.
I know. I don't think we're gonna actually.
We're definitely not going to use all that stuffing, but it is gorgeous.
It looks
We need a picture of the
Careful, that is a hot
Yeah.
plate. Oh, yeah.
But it smells. I mean, there's like 3 things in here I have never eaten before in my life. It smells like I just can't wait to try it.
It's really odd how good stuffing with sweetbreads actually really smell. Because they have such an intense.
I think we should
have such an intense
bowl and get the rest of the ingredients into it. I don't know if we're gonna have time for the cake. I think we do. But once this is actually going on the stove, we can actually make the cake. We can actually work. If we can get the cake to it, but I want to have time for the beer part of this for sure.
Yeah, we have to take time for that.
Alright, so I'll get the recipe for all the other stuff that goes in there. I know we've got the eggs. I know we've got. Did we put the eggs in? Should we beat them?
That's yours. Are we supposed to beat them?
Probably.
I lost. A poultice of herbs. Very close, although usually poultices were made with beeswax or fat.
Oh, the internet says brown sauce, typically made from brown stock, mirepoix, and tomatoes, all thickened with roux.
I think it's just the broth that happens in the bottom of the pot
With
thickened over
tomatoes.
the roux.
Plum tomatoes. That looks actually gorgeous. That little
It really
arrangement over there.
does.
And quite frankly, I think yes. But first, did they have tomatoes in France at this time?
They did have tomatoes. What was it they were afraid to eat? Was it apples? I think it was apples. Red apples. Green apples were
Tomatoes would
okay.
have come from. I think the tomatoes would have come from the colonists that moved the colonial areas by now.
Okay. Well, we'll add some tomatoes.
It's my favorite time. Beer review. Beer review. We found a really good one. This is Wholesale Harrington's Bourbon Barrel Aged Red Ale. I have no idea what to expect, but it has Bourbon Barrel in the name.
And it's absolutely.
Sounds wonderful.
And we're going to leave just enough to do the flip with, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave a teeny bit for the flip.
Because we're really not sure
So
how
I
the
may
flip's going to go.
I may be coming back. It's kind of odd with different. I don't know exactly. People are this isn't going to be even.
That's okay.
Thank you.
What I need for the flip.
We can't forget our producer. So there we go.
Oh my god, it smells amazing. I just noticed
Does.
that before I did the cheers. Cheers.
Well, I already took a sip because I'm
Oh
a
my
pirate.
gosh, it smells like roasted sugar. Like
It smells like
molasses. Which
bourbon.
is incredibly
It smells like
It smells like bourbon, but it also smells a little bit like molasses, which is incredibly appropriate because a lot of beers of the time that we're talking about would have been flavored with molasses or spruce or something like that to add to the addition, the quality of the beer.
We just have the same foot at the same time.
Yeah. This is the
Oh.
bourboniest bourbon that is ever bourboned.
No, well, you know, this seems very close, and I think Carltus might agree with me that this seems very close to Deschutes. Do you think so?
Yeah.
The smell and the taste is not quite as like chocolate, but
To me, I'm getting like almost pure bourbon, and I think that's allowed because most of the bourbon aged beer I've had is stout, and the red balances with it more without, different elements kind of combine. I agree. I get a lot of bourbon, but I also get a lot of roasted malts. I get a lot of not overpowering sweetness, but just a balancing sweetness. Vanilla.
I'm getting a lot of red. I'm actually getting a lot of red characteristics.
Yeah.
Especially like, on the back top of your palate where reds usually hit with just that.
It tingles back there.
Yeah,
It tingles
exactly.
back there.
Reds usually will do that. I'm not getting an overly hoppy presence, which is really nice because the sweetness of it makes it really special.
But
I
I
don't
don't
think it's
enough
overly
hop.
sweet.
There's-
I think it's actually really quite lovely.
There's more than enough hop.
To make sure it's not sickly sweet.
Right.
To control the malts. The hops are doing their job.
Wow.
Mm.
The more I have of that, the more I like.
I liked it from the first sip, and I don't usually like reds that much.
10.2 alcohol by volume.
That's why I like it.
10.2. That's pretty good. And it's available at Safeway here in Oregon. I can't remember what we paid for it. It was a very reasonable price. It was not some ridiculous $30 price. It was actually something reasonable that somebody of regular means could easily pick up and try. And it's definitely a wonderful bourbon barrel. So if you're into bourbon barrels and you want something affordable, Full Sail, you did it. This is a success. We really like it. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
We are coming to the end of the preparation period.
Thank goodness. These decadent dishes for princesses sure take a lot of prep.
That's right. Francesca's gonna love this. So, our next ingredients. These are actually going to go on the sides of the roast or on the bottom of the pan. They don't necessarily go in the roast itself. This is going to help create a lovely broth on the bottom and all around,
which will later
flavor
create
the
sauce.
outside
Yes.
of the roast. A nosegay. Essentially, this is just tarragon and laurel tied together with string.
Yes.
3 cloves. Three or 4 onions. These are very easy to find. Boiler onions work really well. Yep. A few roots.
We chose to use carrots.
But there are tons of other things too. Rutabaga, turnip, parsnip. Yep. You could probably even use celeriac
If you wanted to. Could be good.
some broth. There is no amount, but we decided that a half a cup would probably be good. And a bottle of wine.
You handle that.
Right. So, we're going to be very generous and soak the rest. Wow, I don't think the wine is going to
Yeah, that's enough. That's enough.
Probably is.
yeah.
They probably had smaller bottles.
Strategos, look! And that's how you make sure the wine gets used. Don't let the pirate have it. We should probably offer the lady of the house some.
Thank you.
And because
She didn't even
We're-
use a glass.
because
Quality control.
that's quality control, yes. And because we are a generous people, our producer gets the rest.
Also because he'd probably murder us.
Yeah, because he can delete us. And now it just goes over a slow fire, which is an electric stove. So on January 31st of 2017, in Eugene, Oregon, based in the heart of Oregon's Willamette Valley, Ninkasi Brewing Company fondly came up with a brand new beer. This brewery decided to craft a beer celebrating the Pacific Northwest, Pacific Rain, a Northwest Pale Ale brewed with lava-filtered water from the Mackenzie River, and a band of 4 flavorful hops joins Ninkasi's year-round flagship series this February. And we have it today.
Nice.
We do.
Pale ales are a little less intense than IPAs, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And
So
they
we're
are
gonna
they are a very important part of our lives.
And it may be, as it follows that bourbon barrel, it may be a little tricky to get all the full flavor out of it. But
Is there more of that wine we could palate cleanse?
Water. We could do the wine thing.
Eat a
Swish
mushroom?
and spit. Eat a mushroom. Mushroom. Actually, that is an excellent idea, Strategos. Thank you very much.
But there's
Mushrooms. Now, mushrooms, sir. Mushroom, my lady.
I love mushrooms.
I love mushrooms too.
are actually
Oh,
just like blanched almonds
Mm-hmm.
are amazing palate cleanser.
and just the taste of mushrooms.
Plus
itself.
they taste good.
So, the other thing
That's her.
that's really interesting about using a pale ale here is that pale ales were pretty much everybody's beer.
Everybody's beer
Pale
in this time
ales,
period.
Pales and browns. Pales and browns were the most of the styles that we still have around today would be the most popular things that you might be drinking.
But stouts and porters wasn't porter a brand new invention?
Porter was invented this decade, this very decade.
That's pretty impressive. So porter is
Mhm.
just coming in.
Porter's just coming in, and then stouts will kind of come in as a response to porter.
And porter became, as far as I know, porter actually became a form of payment to people on the docks.
Yeah, I paid my share of porter.
Me.
So
So this only 5.4% and 50 IBUs. It has a really simple malt bill with 2-row pale, Munich, and a little bit of oat, Citra, Simcoe, Mosaic, and Nugget hops.
So the thing that I've noticed about all the lager beer that I've ever tasted is that it has this smoothness where almost all of the malts and hops seem to almost create a homogeneous taste where I can't pick out anything individually, but I can pick out their influences.
That's true. That's true. Because I get the flush of the Citra over the tip of my tongue.
Yes.
But I'm also getting, like, on the back of my palate, that, the bigger hops on the back of my palate that are, like, they have the staying power with a little bit of bitterness. They're there to remind you that, this is a beer.
I mean, it's
and
for
the
me.
malts are really
For me, it's exceptionally. It's clean. It's refreshing. It's a little bright. But there's a lot of toasty, almost bready quality coming on in the back. It's my opinion.
definitely a day beer. I like
Yes,
it.
it's a very much a day beer.
Yeah.
It's just barely grassy that I like. So I'd even drink this. I drink this in the spring too. If they brought this out of the spring
Certainly.
beer, I would drink this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But I can see how it would be a good fall beer, remind you of the rain, and it starts raining, and maybe during the day, you're having lunch, and you want something that's good for it. Drink Pacific Rain, it's pretty good. I hope they keep it around.
It's very nice.
Well, very good entertainment approved, Ninkasi. This, what are we going to give it? Shall we give it stars or out of 5? In context, I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
I agree. Absolutely.
I am not going to pit this against. I'm not going to pit this against a bourbon barrel Harringtons.
No, I mean they're completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different beers, and I think that for the style, it's exceptionally easy to drink. Yep. So yeah, 4 out of 5.
I'm gonna get a 4.2.
4.2. That's fair.
Because again, this isn't really my style, but again, it's something that I'm really enjoying drinking, and something that I think a lot of people could enjoy drinking, like, several pints of, where, a time when they really don't want anything high octane or, but it's still got enough hop, it's still got enough malt, and it's very well balanced. So
Absolutely.
4.2.
And let's not forget that at this point, 18th century, we're still worried about water.
Yes.
We're still worried about water, so yeah, you're gonna drink beer most of the time. And if a recipe
drink this all day.
and if a recipe does call for water, you'd probably consider using a lighter pale ale instead of water.
Or boiling it.
Boiling,
If the recipe doesn't involve boiling, you probably don't want to use water at this time
No.
period, unless you are in a very, very specific part of the world, or you have a certain wealth.
You know what? I'd poach eggs in this.
Absolutely.
I would.
Although,
I'd like to try that.
I'd rather
I would
drink
try
it.
poaching eggs in this. I'm actually going to attempt that.
I'm going to go ahead and eat those, and we can do a follow-up.
Very good. Ninkasi Pacific Grain.
Oh, look at how gorgeous that is.
My God, look at how beautiful that thing is. And so it's been how long? How long has it
About
been?
an hour and a half.
It's been about an hour and a half. So I'm gonna attempt to take this out without destroying it, and then
You're not
we're
gonna
gonna
destroy
check. We're gonna do a very un-18th century thing and check it with a temperature thermometer.
Yes. That looks to me like it's a nice temperature already.
Oh,
No, that's okay. The onion wasn't supposed to be part of it.
no.
That looks good. I don't know where to check it with the meat thermometer. See? Where did I put the meat thermometer? Right here, right here. Do you want to test the stuffing or the? But I think we want to test the meat because the stuffing was mostly cooked.
We'll plunge it right through.
We might want to test the edge there where there's no stuffing as well, just to make sure.
Well, that's I slid it through the meat instead of the.
Okay. You got it.
45, 50. Oh, this is definitely going to go over 160. It may go over 180.
It looks
yeah,
fairly
160. 160. So
It looks like it's cooked enough to me, which means that we can add the stuff to the sauce. There's so much liquid in here. I don't know if I can make a roux.
it's all right. I can make roux.
We also want to get those
So,
cloves out before we do that.
Would you call this done?
I would call that beautiful.
I would call this
stunning.
I would call this done.
Yes,
So-
it's done.
I think what would be a good idea is to definitely let it rest for a little while.
Yeah.
Just a little while. And
Wow.
whoa,
That's gorgeous. Look at that pretty.
yes, beautiful.
Pretty juice.
I think we should probably let it rest for a little while.
Mhm.
Then we'll go along and make the roux for the sauce.
Sounds good. Sounds good to me.
Hello. Right now I'm going to make for you a drink called Flip, or a Flip cocktail, which was incredibly popular in the 18th century, particularly in the colonial areas. It was introduced just a little bit before the start of the 18th century, just at the very end of the 1600s, and then it became incredibly popular. There were things called flip houses that would just make various different varieties of it. There's a lot of different recipes. The only thing that for sure in every single one of them is they all have beer, then they all have some sort of a fortified liquor, and then they have eggs, spices, and often sugar. What you notice in the 18th century is that many drinks that you wouldn't think of as having eggs in them had eggs put in them, because people were drinking alcohol instead of drinking water, and it was an easy way, they believed, to strengthen their children, give them a little bit of protein with their beer or their cider or whatever you might be talking about. So this recipe calls for 12 ounces of pale ale, 1.5 ounces lemon juice, 1 tablespoon granulated sugar, 1/4 teaspoon ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 ounce brandy or dark rum, and 1 egg yolk. And I don't have brandy, so I'm going to use this beautiful bourbon barrel aged beer just to give it a little bit more kick, just a little bit more alcohol on that. So what I've already started doing is heating up my pale ale in my pan here. And now I'm going to take my egg yolk, add the beer, or brandy, or rum, or whatever you decide to do. And then you're supposed to whip it up in here and get a little bit of a froth. This froth that you create here, and then that would be again created when it was heated up, because at the time, they would put it in a regular pan, and then they would heat it with what they called a flip iron, which is like a red-hot poker, basically. A cross between a red-hot poker and a curling iron. And they just stick it in after it was done to make that froth and get it nice and hot before they poured it into the tankard to serve. But it works just as well on a saucepan. So I'm nice and got that nice and beat. And I need to add the lemon juice, sugar, ginger, and cinnamon into the ale and get that sugar dissolved. And lemon juice. You can see it's already foaming. Just putting the sugar in, it's foaming again. I'm very good at dropping things.
So am I.
But I'm really curious as to how this comes out because
I think it's going to taste
it
delicious.
kind of fascinates me. And it just seems that was the ginger, by the way. This is the cinnamon. Oh my gosh, I love the smell of cinnamon. You just kind of have to wait
The sugar to melt.
because I've kind of doubled this recipe. Because there's a few of us wanting to try it.
That looks gorgeous.
Tell us about your beauty
It kind
mark.
of looked, yeah.
Oh! So, one of the things that was very, very common in beauty makeup, especially in France in this time period, was that people would wear beauty marks. If you already had a mole, because it was considered gorgeous, you might make it look bigger by darkening it with a pencil coal or something like that. But what was even more common was that they would take cut up bits of velvet, silk, whatnot, black, always black, because we had a contrast with how pale we made our skin. So the idea was that it had that beautiful contrast. You have really white skin, which is often bleached, in fact, to be white and then powdered over. And then you had your bright red cheeks, and then you'd have these black patches. And where you put them actually ended up having a meaning. They were often in different shapes. They could be heart shapes, they could be stars, they could be different sizes. This putting over by your eye was supposed to indicate beauty. If you put it right on your dimple, you smile, that would be mischief, that you were a kind of a mischievous person. On your forehead indicated majesty. And right down here, right where your lip,
Yeah, where Jodie Foster
where
has
Jodie
hers.
Foster has hers, would indicate courage. There, later on in this century, in England at least, if you wore them on one side of your face versus the other side of your face, you would actually be talking about what political party you're on. I didn't ever figure out which one was which, so if mine's on the wrong side of my face, I apologize.
If they still have the same political parties in England that they had
Yeah.
in the 17th century, in the 18th century.
Did guys wear beauty marks too?
Yes.
Absolutely. Because they
And
were
probably
often,
more politically.
they were often, because they were often just used either to say something about yourself, ooh, I think I'm really pretty, or to cover up like smallpox scars, lesions, things that they were the scars of life. I mean, we're talking about making up yourself to show that you don't have to look like everybody else who went through the same stuff you went through but can't afford to put makeup on to cover it up. And yeah, so absolutely, men would wear them. Some people had like all over their faces, practically. And look like I'm pretty much ready here. That looks like it's all ready to go. And now I'm going to add my egg mixture in. I'm going to stir that up. It calls for beating vigorously, but I want to make very, very, I want to be very, very careful with it because I don't want it to overflow here. There's quite a bit of it in here. One other thing that they do instead of beating it vigorously is that they would have 2 different saucepans. And in order to make the froth, I take it from one saucepan and I pour it in the other one. And then I take that one and I pour it in that other one, and I just keep pouring it until it was mixed. And they did that with almost any kind of heated drink. With mulled wine, again, you would actually do the same thing where you take 2 saucepans. I don't particularly want to dirty 2 saucepans, but that's what they do.
That kind of sounds like the precursor to bartending mixology. Isn't that kind of what you do when you shake up a...
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, because you have a glass and a metal cup, and you shake them from one to the other.
Absolutely, totally. I think it's ready to try. Actually,
Yay,
let's see how hot it is.
try
I'm just gonna get a spoon real quick and make sure that's not like too hot or not too cold. It's perfect. I mean, it's really interesting, but it's perfect. Here we go. Let's see what we think of it.
Let's see what
I can already tell that there's a little bit of cooked egg in here, so that's interesting.
Cinnamon. It actually doesn't smell a whole lot like beer.
God, it tastes almost like wine. It tastes almost like mulled wine.
Lemon.
I got a lot of
the
lemon.
lemon. It tastes like a sour
Lemon
beer.
and
I
egg.
don't hate this, but I don't know that I love it either.
Okay,
It's,
this is
On a cold winter's
on a
night,
cold winter's night. This would
especially
be
while going
very
wassailing, I would
comforting.
love this.
This would be very comforting.
It's very comforting, and it seems, and I can believe where it would be very fortifying too. Like I could believe where
Yeah.
this would make you feel kind of like you had eaten something, you know?
Sure, you go
For
to a
for
tavern
dessert
or
on
something.
a cold night and you just want something that heats you up.
I do notice the little bits of egg.
Yeah, I think that's because I didn't quite yolk it properly. I think that we're getting egg white in there a little bit.
Even egg white. Tempering it might. Tempering the egg before you pour it back in the mixture might have worked. And it would have thickened it up.
Right.
I'm not sure how it would affect the flavor.
There's a little bit of a dusty taste
And
to me.
if we actually had
Mixed it with
I mean,
brandy.
it doesn't
it
bother
might
me
have
that
actually
much.
broken up
but
a
it-
little
but
bit more,
the
too, because
combination of the-
alcohol content.
The combination of the spices and then
But I
the
feel
fact
like
that we
this-
already boiled this beer kind of gives it a little earthy quality.
Yes,
Which is-
definitely.
I'm not-
earthy quality.
I'm not sure if it's bad or good.
It
It's
doesn't
just-
feel
it's just a
super
thing.
beery, really. I mean,
I think I'd use less lemon.
More brandy.
Yeah, brandy would be fabulous in this.
Yeah.
that's why there's so many
Brandy or rum.
different recipes.
Yeah,
Honestly,
rum.
having the
But
trying
why
it
is
with
all
the
of the
brandy or
rum
the
gone?
rum, you would be adding some
You drank
sugar.
it all.
And I did add sugar, but I didn't add. But having sugar and then having something sweet to go with the sugar might be better.
I do like it though. I think that
Oh,
on
I
a
like
general principle, The recipe is sound. It is
I like it
something
a lot better than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I apologize for interrupting.
No. I know. When I saw the recipe, I was like, this sounds really interesting. But I don't know if we'd like it.
I expected to be.
I was very nervous
Yeah.
about trying it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
after looking at the process it went through to make it, it looked very good. And it actually does taste very good. Although I use less lemon, but it tastes very good. Definitely brandy would go really well in it.
Yes, I agree.
Or
I
rum.
agree. If I ever try this again, and the egg doesn't bother me. I thought the egg was going to bother me, and the little pieces of egg kind of bother me, but there really isn't very much
the
of it.
thickening
It's
process, the
not-
sort of like richness that the egg brings to it, doesn't bother me at all. It's almost like having like egg yolk pour over breakfast, you know, in a weird way. And it doesn't sound like something you want to drink in a beer, but I can't describe it any better.
I mean, we've been using egg yolks in milkshakes and everything for at least decades now.
And hangover cures.
Hangover cures.
You know, this would be good if you had
It's
a
not
Actually,
on a cold
that'd
day.
be very nice. A
a
hangover
cold-
cure with
on a
hot
cold-
beer and some egg.
on a cold day. If you, especially on a cold day, this would be a great hangover here. Maybe with some something hot in it too. Maybe some cayenne as well as everything else.
Oh, I could totally go for a little hot
a
pepper
little,
in there.
yeah, a little pepper flakes or a little habanero, some Tabasco, or even maybe sriracha.
Could be. You could do it.
Yeah.
But I'm still
Sriracha?
drinking it. So with cinnamon, I'm still drinking it. So I think
You know what?
I think I think it could have been made more properly, and with the brandy, it would have been better. And I agree with Linda. The lemon is a little overpowering. But I'm gonna give it like a 3 out of 5, and with an addendum that I would totally try it again at some point, changing those little details.
And what are we rating it on? You know, is the one of the 1 to 5 stars. Basically, what are we rating it as? A beer cocktail?
Yes.
As a beer cocktail.
Then I'm going to agree with you. But no, I think I'm going to take it out. I'm going to say 3.7. Because a lot of times beer cocktails fall flat in the sense that
They're flat.
They're
Texture is a lot to beer.
and this does have some texture. And even though it doesn't really taste as much like beer as I'd like it to, there's still a beer element left in it. So, yeah, I'd say 3.7.
I'd give it a 3.5. And I would definitely watch this in the morning. I would definitely drink this in the morning while watching Red Dwarf and eating curry. I would drink this while eating curry. I think I may attempt it. I may attempt drinking this while I eat vindaloo.
Oh, yeah. It would be great with something spicy. Because it's very...
The super lemoniness is the only drawback to it, really.
Yes.
The brandy would cancel that out, though.
Mm-hmm.
Or whiskey or something.
Yes. The brandy would
Oh, I just got some of those.
Now, we're going to make a roux for the sauce. Now, I know a lot of you may or may not actually be familiar with roux. Roux is basically fat and flour mixed together, and it will help to thicken up whatever liquid you put in this pan. The general mixture is 1 tablespoon of butter to 1 tablespoon of flour. But we have a lot of liquid here, so I'm not going to be shy. The thicker you make your roux, the more thickening power it has for your liquid. Remember to keep stirring.
Do you want me to do this?
Yeah, could you, please?
Yes. Can I
Keep
do it?
stirring as you pour the liquid. Keep going. Keep going. There we go. It's
Feel like it was
okay.
going a little fast.
These chunks are going to pass. See? There we go. We're getting a nice, thick
You want
sauce now. A little more. Little more. There. That may be... It really takes time to understand how a good roux works. Butter is always best, and of course butter was a big thing in the 18th century. You might have used oils, but butter and flour were a very easy way to thicken up anything besides egg yolk. A little more, please. A little more. Okay. That seems very thick. And that is definitely a good sauce right there.
That's nice.
Turn that off, and we're ready to serve. So now our roast is rested, our sauce is made. How are we going to serve the sauce? Is it supposed to be served over the top, or?
It is. We'll slice this beautiful sirloin, and we'll serve the sauce over the top with possibly with some of these beautiful vegetables because they're wonderful.
Okay. So this is essentially an early pot roast.
Oh, definitely. It's a very decadent pot roast.
Decadent pot roast. Okay. If you would kindly, as I lift the roast, move the glass pan away.
I will be happy to.
And down. And we have removed all the toothpicks. So
Happily.
that it's safe. You can. There we go. I'll keep one tongue there. But I will use one tongue for the slicing of. Now, I'm thinking I should slice it through the middle so we get the full effect. Sure. Then we can slice off other bits.
We might want to get ready to plate when we start slicing up the other bits, just in case the
Well, I know
stuffing
we're
falls out.
also going to need photos.
Yes.
Photos
So we need
of
a
this.
photo of just this whole thing cut in half. Would be wonderful.
This.
Just look at that cut.
My goodness.
Okay, I guess
My goodness,
it looks like it all actually stuck in
This,
that beautiful.
yeah, it actually looks like it's actually looking like it is a formed stuffing.
Yeah.
That must be the egg that did
That must be why they put the egg in.
That must be why they put the egg in. It's just gorgeous. I mean, you think they made their slices? I mean, did they let people choose?
Probably about an
Is
inch.
it an inch?
Whatever, but I mean, like, this is a royal table. I think people can choose how thick they want it.
Well, I mean, it would it have been like multiple
I'm sure
courses,
it would have been.
or I
I'm
mean,
sure it would have been sliced at the
but
table.
they didn't
No.
have to worry about whether they
Recommends
finished their plate or not.
No.
There's that, and that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. And here is. I still cannot say it. You can say it.
Aloyo à la dauphine. I almost can say it. Aloyo à la dauphine.
Which is a stuffed sirloin roast. So now we've finished our dinner. Results, everybody?
It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
That was probably my favorite of all three. I mean, they've all turned out wonderfully, but that one was the best.
It was definitely extremely rich.
Yes.
The stuffing in the middle and the sauce was fantastic over it, and it cooked just right.
The sauce came out beautifully. It was
That
much,
was your doing.
much more tender than I expected it to be, and that stuffing was just to die for. It was really everything just kind of melded together in it, and added its own flavor to the mix, and the lard in there, and it was wonderful.
And I think everybody at different points had different flavors.
Oh yeah.
There were some of us
Each
who got garlic,
slice
there were some of us
yeah.
got onion, and I mean, I tasted a little bit of clove, and
Well, I tasted every flavor at one point in every bite, and I loved that. And I could actually tell, I'm like, oh, this is chicken, this is heart, this is lump, this is tongue, sorry.
I
And,
couldn't,
but every bite of it tasted so good because it had been roasted in the same sauce, and it tasted uniform and in a lovely way, but with its individual flavor.
I think maybe because I haven't ever had heart or tongue, I could tell where I had chicken and when I had the ham, but I wasn't terribly able to distinguish between those two, but I liked every bite I had. Every bite.
and definitely putting in that much wine did not hurt it.
Oh no, that
It
was
doesn't
a
hurt it at
lovely,
all.
lovely sauce.
It doesn't taste like wine.
It doesn't taste boozy at all.
No,
It really doesn't.
which that's surprising. Most people are so reluctant to use more than just a couple of tablespoons of wine, but you saw how much wine went in that pot, and it was really good.
It was really good. I think the reason for it actually is the fact that we put all the vegetables and stuff in it, and so I mean and then we really boiled it in all the vegetables and all the meat juice and the broth.
Yeah, the onions.
And a lot of the alcohol definitely cooked off as the meat, the juices from the meat were coming down into it.
Yeah, the onions and the carrots might have had a little bit more of that taste of that wine, but it was wonderful. They were wonderful too, and they were also a little bit more heavily spicy, like the sauce was, as opposed to the meat, which was very subtle and but it was delicious all the way down.
And you definitely don't have to use an expensive bottle of wine. That was a cheap $5.99 of Behringer Pinot Grigio that we used most of.
And drank the rest.
Now, the only thing left to discuss about this is, well, what do we do with what we call the broken meats?
Yeah, leftover meat in the household. What do you do with that?
And also, what people didn't feel like eating that was left on their plates. It didn't go in the garbage. It didn't go in the midden pile either. Would it surprise you to know that the poor got most of that?
No, as long as they're eaten.
Yeah.
I mean, that looks like a good meal that's fine with me.
And
That would be a wonderful meal.
By some reports, it actually might have been a payment to the church
Oh.
for some of your sinful living to
Aha!
give your broken meats to feed the poor.
Oh, I'm quite a sinner, but I think I'd rather just give it to the poor directly.
Yeah, that's true. And I think I'm mighty poor, so I think I'll be giving it to myself. But I am the lowest standing of the group.
I think it seems appropriate.
But we have one. We have
Is there
one.
one
We have
washing all
yeah.
this?
One
As a reward.
reward for washing all the dishes. Well, you know, as a better reward for washing the dishes, I would really love some more wine.
I can do that.
Can we do some more
I
wine?
can do some wine.
I think we're gonna do some mulled wine.
Mulled wine. Is mulled wine realistic, or is it? I mean,
Yes.
they had mulled wine, right?
Mulled-
Obviously, they had hot beer. They had to have had mulled wine.
Mulled wine comes back all the way to the Romans.
It does. It absolutely does.
They called it spiced wine at the time, but
Mhm.
it was again, it was hot wine that was
It was hot-
seasoned with spices.
Yeah, and,
They-
and honey usually. Yeah.
And they called it I guess it goes before the Romans, because the Greeks called it Hippocras, and they thought that it had healing powers.
Well, it certainly does for me. Well, I'm gonna get out of your way
There.
and let you make mulled wine.
Mhm.
Sounds fantastic.
We're gonna make some mulled wine. Now, there's like 8 million recipes for this, and they go down thousands actually thousands of years. I wasn't actually exaggerating. I thought I was, but I'm not. So, Francesca, being amazing and focused on making this as authentic as possible, actually looked up 1800s mulled wine recipes, but the one that she found I didn't really like.
Well, actually, I found two, but we're not sure if we're going to use either of them. The first one, again, uses egg. So there again, we're putting eggs in our heated alcoholic drinks. And that one calls for the wine, the eggs, the spices, the sugar, a little bit of lemon, and a little bit of water. And then it's supposed to be served with dry toast, because the egg makes it thicker. So you dunk your toast, your dry toast in there as you eat it.
It sounds like breakfast.
Then there was another one that didn't include eggs, because you could go either way. But this one also included water. And my brother does not want to water the wine.
I refuse to
So-
water the wine in this household.
Boo! Boo!
So we're going to show Strategos' absolute favorite mulled wine recipe.
This is the one I do every Christmas. It's not 1800s necessarily, but I think people in the 1800s would get a kick out of it.
And there's nothing we're putting in it that they couldn't have put in it in the 1800s.
Exactly. So we're just gonna do a twin thing that we do often when we're cooking, and we're going to alternate adding ingredients. So, but first of all, you have to start with the mulled wine. I've got so much mulled wine here.
Do you want to measure?
Nah.
Okay.
I'm not. This is the Yellowtail Shiraz Cabernet. I got a liter and a half of it. We're not going to use all of it. At least to mull wine. I'm sure we'll drink it all. But that's enough. Oh no, it isn't. This is a saucepan, not a skillet. I usually use a skillet. That's enough. Alright. So, what do you want to add, darling? I've got everything over here. Don't use ground cinnamon.
Oh, yes. Excuse me. We're going to use stick cinnamon.
I usually use 2, yes.
2 sticks of cinnamon.
You know me. Alright. And I'm going to use allspice. I like to use whole allspice. It is one of my favorite things to use in this world. And I usually use about a handful. Done.
Well,
Yes, we can't. We don't have whole nutmeg, so we're going to use ground nutmeg. That's perfectly fine.
Just use a little nutmeg again. Since we're not measuring, I'll just do.
Try to do about a half teaspoon, maybe a little more.
It's about 3/4 of a teaspoon.
That's perfect. I use cardamom. I really love cardamom in mulled wine. It is utterly amazing.
And I'm gonna put in some ground cloves. All these recipes, every single one of them had cloves in them, pretty much without a doubt. And you can put whole cloves in. They probably had used whole cloves at the time. But the thing about whole cloves is if you can't strain it out, when you bite into one, then it gets really, really spicy.
If I was gonna use whole cloves, and I sometimes do, what I do is I actually take a whole lemon or a whole orange, and I stick the cloves into them so that they stay in, so that you get both the clove and the peel flavor. Because I'm going to be adding a peel flavor in a moment.
That's that was something that was called a cloved orange or a cloved lemon, and they were extremely popular from the 1600s through to the 1800s. And sometimes people would use them if there was a particularly nasty scent even. Mm-hmm. They were just like walking through the streets and they were like upper class, and they would hold these things
right up to their noses. People would give them to their
Mm-hmm.
beaux or girls to show that they were interested in them.
And if you put them in there instead, you won't lose your cloves, but you'll get the flavor.
Yep. I'm adding ginger right now, just so you know. I'm always a little gangster with the. I don't know if it's gangster at all, actually, but I'm a little bit liberal and casual with the way that I put things in. I'm uncomfortable describing myself that way because I'm not.
And then finally for the spices, cardamom. And cardamom is it's just a wonderful, rich scent, and you want to be kind of careful with it because it's very powerful.
Yeah, I'm adding lemon zest. Normally I would actually just put a whole fruit in there and just let it take in the flavor of the rind of it, Yeah, that's working. So, just because we're not going to put a whole fruit in there, I just wanted to put some zest in there just to give it that extra kick. Alright, then we just heat this up over, you can start it at medium heat, but the thing is, and I think we're going to do it this time because we want to serve the mulled wine quickly. Normally, I would cook it over low heat for several hours till your whole house smells as amazing as it could possibly smell.
It really does.
And, because you never want this to boil. Ever. You just want to keep it at a slow simmer. It's kind of like cooking, you just never want it to boil. If it boils, it's not the end of the world. It can be fixed. It can be salvaged. But what you really want is for it to simmer, or not even simmer, but just slowly cook and take in all of those fragrant aromas into the wine.
And how wonderful to have something that sits on the stove for all that time, and you can just go back and enjoy a glass whenever you want, and it just smells really good.
Sure, it's like its own alcoholic holiday candle.
Mm-hmm.
The moment it starts to simmer, we need to stop it. And hopefully it will have gotten the same flavor into it that really slow cooking it will have gotten. But we do want to show you guys the whole process of the experience. And we also, but the thing is that while we want it to get hot, we also want, I'm destroying your kitchen and I'm putting like wine stands all over the place. But What we also want is for these, because we used ground cloves and ground nutmeg, we want those gritty textures to go away. Because right now they're kind of hanging out on the top here, and straining isn't going to get rid of them. So we need it to simmer enough that those go away. So it's actually drinkable without having a chalky thing on your tongue.
Well, we can have some wine in the meantime, right?
Certainly.
Yeah. We can have some wine in the meantime.
If the pirate allows.
And if the kitchen maid hasn't finished it off first.
You can always have some wine, my dear.
Now I'm going to clean up that. That's a Cabernet, right?
It's a
Shiraz.
Shiraz Cabernet.
Oh, a Shiraz Cabernet. Okay.
That's a
A
very
Shiraz
good note in there.
Cabernet. Well, a Shiraz Cabernet is much softer than a regular Cabernet.
And this is as well, although it's actually quite good.
Yeah, I took a sip and I was very surprised because
I was just looking for a reasonably priced large bottle of wine, so I picked the Yellowtail. And I've heard good things about Yellowtail, but I hadn't had any of their wine before, and this is quite good.
Well, Yellowtail is usually very well priced in most of the larger supermarkets.
That's excellent to know. Just clean it. Because this is it's good wine for cooking because it has a nice balance between being bitter berry and being sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But it's drinkable too. It is actually drinkable.
Lovely. So yes, you could have this between meal. You know, you could have this while you're cooking. You could have this before you cook. You could have this after you cook. You could have it before bed.
I don't believe in.
You could have it when you wake up.
Drinking. That's blasphemy. I'm sure that's in the Bible somewhere. Sai, can you look that one up?
You shall not cook without drinking.
Oh, nice. So I don't usually add sugar or anything to my mulled wine recipe, but I usually use all whole seasonings. And also, we always have to go to taste the people that we're with. And I just recently had Sorcerer Zero taste it, and she said that it could use some sweet. So I'm going to add a spoonful of honey, and that is going to both add to sweetness, but also help thicken it and help with dispersing some of the chalkiness from the whole spices. When you add, I just wanted to keep stirring it in the hot liquid until the spoon looks clean. Now, let's see. There's still I can still see a tiny bit of constellations of that nutmeg and clove on the top. But very, very little. So I think that as I stir this, it's going to become totally... This looks like mulled wine to me. This absolutely looks like mulled wine to me. Now I'm going to taste and see if it is to my liking, because I am the captain. It's lovely. That is lovely. How much do you want? Is that all you want?
Oh.
Hey,
Might as
well
well
have
have
it
it full.
even if you don't like it, you don't have to finish it.
I believe you'll like it. I'm looking at it, it looks beautiful.
Please tell me if I'm pouring on your hand, baby.
Oh, you haven't.
A little more. No. Okay, yeah, because if you want more and it isn't
And this
water
is
in it-
actually your cup, but it's the regular wine.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I'm gonna take that down. Someone needs to take that down really quick. Thank you, love.
My pleasure.
Oh my god.
Anything to help the captain.
The smell is amazing.
I can see why this is your favorite recipe.
I know,
Oh, yeah.
and I can see why you insist on the cardamom, because I can really, I
can smell
really
the
get
cardamom. Yes,
Yeah, I
it
get a-
smells so exotic.
the aroma of it.
It's
And
so
what
good.
a perfect after dinner drink.
Gosh.
Something to
This
really
reminds me of
stand up to
Christmas.
those. Something to really stand up to the roast.
Christmas, Thanksgiving, just any time that it's really cold.
Mm-hmm. I would actually drink this for Halloween.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Halloween stuff.
I would drink this for Halloween too. Mm. Oh, look! All the flavors in there.
That's come join us.
So, we need to let people see this fantastic outfit.
Uh-huh.
I might still be blocking it. Let me go to the other
Look
side.
at this! The kilt,
It's stunning.
Sure.
He's stunning.
the beard. Oh yeah.
All of it.
It's a sporin, right? The bag
That's
is
a
called
sporin.
a sporin.
Yeah,
That's a sporin.
well, Sporn has got it for a person.
So look, guys were carrying man bags.
Man bags, yeah.
Man
in
bags,
Scotland, yeah.
Guys were carrying
Ever.
purses long
They were
before
wearing-
women.
yeah.
did.
That's right.
And they wore high-heeled shoes long before women did too.
Oh, sure. The high heels were invented for men.
Purses
Very
were
invented
wine
for
and
men.
whiskey and.
Yep.
Oh, fabulous! What do you think of it?
I think it's delicious. This would have been much appreciated in Highlands on a winter's night.
Yeah.
Well, I make it every Christmas, just to make the house smell amazing, and then we try to when we drink it. It's so lovely.
Oh, it's lovely, yeah.
I think the honey was actually a very welcome addition and one that I will remember.
Yeah, she's never used the honey before, but I really like it in there. It's very, it's a subtle kind of a sweetener. Just brings out the flavor, and the honey and the lemon together.
Is
I
very
don't-
healing.
I don't know, my throat's kind of liking it. So.
Yeah, well, it's good for your throat.
Honey is great. Like it's really good for you.
And the honey that I use is usually Queen Bee apiaries here from Oregon. So thank you very much, Queen Bee. Your honey is absolutely fantastic in mulled wine. I totally recommend it.
It's wonderful.
So we finished our 18th century dinner. It's been a absolute astounding success. And I have to say that beer and wine, whether hot or cold, go really fabulously well with 18th century cooking. Absolutely. I kind of wish we had some rum and brandy and other liquors to go with it. Maybe next time.
Definitely next time.
But for this time, I'm Sorcerer Zero, and you can find me anywhere you can type in S0RCERESS0. That's on YouTube, all over Google, and on sorcererzero.com. Mr. Pagos?
I really enjoyed this entire experience. I hope that you enjoyed watching us cook the Aloyo à la Dauphine, the Sirloin Dauphine style, the style of the Crown Princess of France. And all of these delicious mulled varieties. You can find me here right now. I'm Very Good Tidbits. But you can also find me on Twitter at Throne Imperial. ThroneImperial.
And I'm Francesca. This is just the most amazing thing. I would say in this particular case, do try this at home. Really do. These recipes can be, I would be happy to link them onto the our Discord if you guys want to check that out at Very Good Entertainment. And then you can just do it your own way, figure out what you like as far as the beers you want to use, the wines you want to use, even the tidbits that you want to use. These are all wonderful and they came out really well. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for making them.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers. Don't forget to watch for the next Very Good Tidbits here on Very Good Entertainment, which is going to be, oh my god, what do I do with this crap? It's the middle of the month, and you have, what, like maybe some beer and some broken steak and some sauce.
You've got
Leftovers.
nothing in your fridge.
You've
but
got
leftovers, a few things you haven't
Staples.
ever thought about using
Staples,
other
vegetables.
than one way. You know,
What do we?
Yeah,
It's near and dear to my heart because I do it all the time.
we do it
And
all
being-
the time.
Being the middle of the month, you're starting to run out of steam. So we're going to show you how to get back into an interesting groove and cook some really awesome food.
Yes.
Welcome to Very Good Tidbits. This is episode 3. Very good Tidbits. Blah. Oh my god.